okay, it's obviously the Zeri. Uh, but now it has to be the Nico, right? The Yubi? Steal away the Yubi? Why not? You go Yumi
Yeah,
Jinx, maybe?
we saw Yumi and Aphelios do wonders in our series last night, but it's not just the Yumi, Mazel, it's also the Nico.
Oh my
And we
god, it's
talked about this
everywhere.
matchup. We talked about this champion going into tonight's series where both of these mid laners have been experimenting a lot with this champion in week 1, and I think Angel did come out on top with how he was a little bit more initiative with his synergy towards Shadow. But we've also seen the matchup of Annie and Nico 10 billion times, and I still think out of every single time you would always prefer the Nico, which I would honestly preferred a Syndra perhaps for Haichao, but maybe that's not something that he's comfortable on.
Maybe a chance at redemption for Haichao on the Annie with. Although they
Oh,
won,
no.
right? Like there were some moments. You wanna get some of those back, all right? You wanna get some of those back, but there is still this power combo and something that Jin Zhao actually was such a clutch factor on in the Lulu.
Yep, and this is going to be the second game in a row for Jin Zhao on this Lulu, but I'm a little bit worried for LGD because once you do reach the later game of the stages, you really need Grievous Wound this game. You have someone like the Aphelios that is potentially going to build the BT, and of course the passive Yuumi healing is going to be a very big pain. And I believe it was Weibo Gaming vs OMG, because I deliberately called this out. Crisp on the Lulu bought a Chemtech Putrefier, and that is something that you don't want to be falling into the traps of, because the Grievous Wound only applies when you do damage as the Lulu onto the enemy team and not through your picks. But it does seem like the jungle champion pool is going to get narrowed down so much more, and that is going to really restrict how Meteor is going to play. But see, he still has something like the Graves to pull out.
You know, one of my favorite, I know we're not going to get it, so that's why I'm going to talk about it. One of my favorite champions that Shadow has ever played was Hecarim, and his Hecarim was just insane, but it is a talking point because both these guys want to be aggressive, and that we're getting all these whittled down champ pools of jungle. Even the Trundle that Meteor was willing to whip out not that long ago.
Wukong? What?
But they're still, because they want to see, you know, both junglers feel a little spicy here. I want to see that aggression come out of the jungle, though, because you are looking at very late game scalers. You need proactivity to come out of the jungle for, honestly, both of these sides. So I expect a continued focus here that Wukong finally comes off the table for LGD, and this means NIP should be able to get their jungler here and get priority in that factor.
And that allows so much creativity when it does come to whoever's going to be picking what. Something like the Kha'Zix is definitely a standout to me. We've seen it do wonders, especially when you do get that early game lead. But no, Shadow's going to lock in the Xin Zhao, and he's gonna lock it in. Meteor's gonna lock in his Graves, and the exact reason why I've been so excited about this champion is, although LGD lost their series up against TT, he did amazing things going the Youmu's and the Collectible, which is the new one, and going scoreline of 6-3 and of course 11-0. So all your eggs are in the Meteor basket for this game too.
And then we get the insta-lock into the top lane matchup. We have that Graves Cassante locked in for LGD. The Gnar gets picked up for Invincible. In their last series, Invincible looked damn good on this Gnar, and maybe a little bit of excitement for the Cassante actually making it through. So many big meta picks coming through. I think they both just said, you know, it's time to let loose on this best of 3. But now specifically factoring in the momentum off of game number 1, LGD feeling confident with Haichao on the Annie in the mid lane. They've got the comfort for Meteor. They have a lot of strength from the bot lane here on the Zeri Lulu, but they've got to contest against a revitalized composition setup from NIP.
You see a really huge identity change with NIP's composition going into this game too. They're the ones now playing front to back, with this Gnar being the final pick, or the piece of the puzzle, as it is going to get locked in for Invincible for that top side. But the most exciting matchup is going to be about this Xin Zhao and Graves, because I still think when it comes to the early game, yes, the Xin Zhao will have a slight advantage looking for those early game picks, and LGD need to play very carefully around that. But you need to be also very, very aware that once Meteor gets his items online, I'm not too sure if the Aphelios can stand up to the amount of damage that he's going to be showing up with in this game too.
Well, kicking off week number 2 here in the LPL is this series between NIP and LGD. NIP are 1-1, want to get that positive score line to get their week 2 started. LGD are still searching for their first series win of the summer split. They have their first win of this best of 3. They're looking for a second. They've got the comfort. They've got the guns. The double marksman comp comes to play. And now it's NIP's turn to find an answer.
We don't have any
hoping for
Giles.
some Gios. Yeah, we didn't have any in game
What?
1. I wasn't gonna call out the audience. I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was hoping
I'll
game
say
2 we
it.
revive. Maybe we just don't hear it because I see people shouting right there. So maybe we just don't hear it.
Muted.
Muted, Sag.
Yeah.
Didn't know you were muted. Hit the unmute button, please. Now, I do want to focus in on this jungle matchup, though. We've had put such heavy importance on it. Obviously, Meteor on this Graves is a force to be reckoned with. Shadow on the Xin Zhao, something he's willing to whip out every now and then, something we've seen from him in the past as well. But interested how it plays out in the current state of the meta and the reasoning why he wanted to go for this champion, because you expect that Crescent Guard to be pretty huge in terms of blocking a lot of the damage potential coming out from LGD, but it's a lot of the aggression that you pick this champion for, and we see it on display right here.
Yeah, he starts it with the Raptors, and now he's going to threaten with that level 2 against Meteor, denying this red buff
Holy
potentially with
cow,
that
that's
smite
so
as
good.
well.
That's so good. And this is
He's gonna
exactly
look
what
for
we
the 1v1.
expected from these two junglers. And Shadow said, Meteor, come at me, bro. He's got Conquer and Pop. The flashes are coming over. Meteor is begging
Jin
for
Zhao's
help
here.
from Jin Zhao, but he wants it. Shadow smells blood, and first blood goes to NIP. Shadow's trying to get out of this one. LPC's going for the kill. He'll get one back. He can't get out of this one alive. And Photic will be gifted one. NIP with the thumbs up from Shadow saying, we Gucci, baby.
Yeah, and Meteor, the walk of shame, has to walk back to his red buff, but Shadow already showing so much aggression in this early game. Exactly what
They
you
got
need.
Jin Zhao
Gino
here.
has the
Jin
flash.
Zhao thought that Photic backed. Oh,
Oh, he should be
Thought they
fine,
had him.
right? Yeah, I mean the wave state is so terrible for LPC as well. He's in a very sticky situation as Meteor. He's so scared of starting his own red buff. He's gonna go to the Krugs, but exactly what you need: early game aggression from the Xin Zhao pick, and it does execute very well, burning through 2 of the flashes from LGD. So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a wrap around and comes back to this bottom lane and forces something onto the Zeri.
got 4 summoner spells, a Chicky Nuggy combo with a red buff, and first blood. Man, Shadow, I love to see that. That is typical Shadow gameplay, though. We were talking about some of the aggression that comes out of these two guys, and through Meteor, it comes with these crazy picks. It comes with how he changes the way you play the game. With Shadow, he just wants to punch you in the mouth. It literally has been like this since he was on Mad Lions, it felt like. And he always tries to find these unique paths. We saw last game, he was looking for very interesting Shadow gameplay, pun intended, looking for those really big ganks. In this game, he's already set the tempo.
Yeah, and a really good kill onto Meteor, shutting him down early before he gets that Youmuu's and Umbral Glaive into the mid game. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does start working alongside Angel and works his way towards his bottom side. You already see that this amount of pressure that is being applied for NIP's mid and jungle without that cleanse available for LPC. With the Gravitum Gum available as well, they're completely flipping the map on the Zeri.
And that's perfectly fine because they actually have a pretty huge advantage in bot side with Photic and Zhuo. So they can just keep playing to the strong side, leave Invincible up here, who maybe needs to be a little bit careful, but should be fine as this Gnar on the top side of the map.
And something that I also want to highlight is just the amount of vision that NIP has been able to get. Look at the bottom side jungle. Just, you will always spit out Meteor and how he's going to be pathing. Although there are completely no camps for this Graves to achieve or get in the bottom side, so that does deny his full claim
Gotta
ability
help
just a
bot
little
lane.
bit. A really good read from NIP and how they're going to approach this game too, because you already know that they're trying to scale towards that late game. They're waiting for the items to get online, but just upsetting the tempo in this early game could be the start of them to start stacking those dragons. As Meteor, he is just lost. He's waiting for his Krugs. Very sad.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to hover down here just in case something comes bearing because both LGD's bot laners are so low here. And Shadow knows there is blood in the water down here, and if you just keep cracking away at it, it will burst open.
It's going to be really hard to look for a dive onto this though, because the Lulu does have the polymorph available without Angel, but you already see him making his way down here. Can they look for a pick onto Meteor 2v1?
They're actually going to bring down Angel as well. And this is what we were kind of expecting in game one that we didn't get, was, you know, mobile play out of mid lane towards bottom lane. Angel's already been in the lane so much, even just with hovers, not really getting anything off, but just having that pressure. And this is kind of the bread and butter of NIP, and they didn't get that in game number one. It's feeling a lot more confident and comfortable, at least for them this time.
Yeah, and a really big reason why I much prefer the Neeko over the Annie in this early game is because she's able to get that lane part. Fearness.
Got the little cheeky knockback on the hop, skip, and the jump from Invincible, and tried to go for the kill. The all out, if you will, Kitty.
Yeah, and Invincible forced the TP while Fearness had to use his earlier. But yeah, back to my original point where Angel, he's getting constant push in this mid side where it is allowing Shadow to consistently invade into Meteor. And when you do have something like the Lulu, I mean, she's not really going to be able to match it because she's constantly trying to match the Yuumi in the bottom side. So it's going to be a very big challenge for Meteor to come back into the game. But the game tempo has slowed down quite a bit. So that's good signs for LGD at least.
It is. I think they have a lot of strength when it comes to that mid game. Once they get these item spikes, honestly, and Meteor is starting to find answers to Shadow, or at least trying to be a little bit proactive about it. Will be contested over his Chicky Nuggets. Doesn't want to let Shadow go for a third one. But here we go. Haichao was looking for the flash Tibbers, but the flash from Shadow was too quick.
And also onto a Neeko clone. So Haichao burning the flash and the Tibbers is going to cost them this upcoming dragon fight, as we also have all the ultimates available for NIP. And Neeko's already making her way down towards his bottom side. Potential dive as well.
Photic playing super aggressive with the red-white. Does also have the hover from Shadow, so makes it a lot easier. Invincible with the Mega Gnar up in the top side. And use the ulti just to get some trades onto Fearness. Try to get this wave pushed in as best as possible. Love this though, NIP. With this pressure from bot side, they're just going to go with this first dragon of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I respect Haichao for, you know, shooting his shot, but it's the mentality that counts at the very end. You need to have that proactiveness in you to start off this game too, and it's a positive sign to say the least. Not the execution though, but execution we can always fix, right?
You know, that's what we said coming into the second game. We're like, you know, second time's the charm. The comeback story. We'll see if that story remains to be written after this second game, but we'll see bot lane. A lot of aggression with the Moonlight Vigil underneath. Jin Zhao, Chakrams hit. What? Oh my god! 7 health! HP? Yes, 6 left after that. Oh my goodness! It's so close, but so far. If they get this pressure in though, this is actually pretty big. They already have 2 turret plates down. LPC gets the back stopped, and that should be a 3rd plate over to Photic. Now Haichao gets the Pop Blossom flash onto him as well, and Crescent Guard comes out, but there's not enough damage. Couple extra tower shots, and Meteor's looking to clean up now. The shotgun shots into Shadow. He gets him with the collateral damage, but he should die to Angel. No, the shield comes through from Haichao, and after everything, the man comes up clutch anyways.
LGD is living on criminally low HP in the mid lane and bottom lane, but Jinja, he's looking for more, but I don't think he has the damage to kill Angel, so it's just going to be a few auto attacks. Oh my lord, but it is going to result in a lane swap coming out of LGD as they want to put all of their focus towards this Rift Herald. We'll get a replay of what happened in this mid lane, as Shadow did take note that Haichao didn't have that flash available, and this is a good force from NIP. They just didn't have the damage as Jinja knocked the Annie away, and Meteor using that flash to connect onto Shadow and also having the ultimate available is going to result in a clean kill. But this clutch shield coming out of Haichao does save him at the very end. And a really positive pick from LGD.
Such a crucial moment for them as well, where NIP were seemingly running away with a little bit of that early pressure. Now Shadow with those 2 deaths, going to feel a little bit less confident out on the map. Have that Rift Herald still to play around for both sides, but we do want to see what this lane swap kind of ends out in. There's a lot of pressure coming from the top side of NIP now.
So you're telling me Photic got 4 plates in the bottom side,
Oh my
3 plates
God.
in the bottom side, and he's gonna get another 2 in this top side because LGD is getting played around with macro right now. NIP can start the Rift Herald as well because they have their bottom lane duo up in here while Invincible, he's just soaking up all the pressure in that bottom side.
They're doing really good about their map movements now and like taking advantage of those map movements. Especially looking at that first dragon, looking at this first Rift Herald. They're playing very, very well around those. But now, Invincible with no Mega Gnar should just get caught out here by Meteor with the collateral damage from afar.
Come on, Invincible. You know that there was 5 people towards that bottom, 4 people towards that bottom side. This Rift Herald was getting taken uncontested, so that was just a little bit of a mistake coming out of the top lane of NIP. Hopefully, Photic can make up for it by taking the remaining 2 plates in this top side with the red and white.
Holy
Fearless is
cow.
having a great time in this game too.
I hope that we get a gold toggle at some point because this is actually just insane. 30 CS up LPC as well as just so many plates. Now LPC did get some plates of his own, so not too shabby. That's something you got to keep an eye on now that the Storm Razor has been completed for Photic as well as the Gore Drinker for Shadow. The Youmu's for Meteor. So some power points on the Rift right now. 1 minute and 10 seconds out from another dragon.
You also have the Ardent Sensor getting completed by Droll on this Yuumi as well, so the pressure is slowly starting to reach LGD because I think that previous play of the lane swap completely out-macroed LGD. Yes, he got a kill onto Invincible into the pockets of Meteor, which is a really nice sign as he picks up his Youmu's, but they have more to respond with as they got a Rift Herald in response.
More plates. More plates. More
That's
plates.
2
Photic, just
more
get all the
plates.
plates. It's like he's playing Caitlyn or Ziggs. Just see as the charge will get this turret. And that will be yet another turret down and more plates to Photic.
Alright, I'm not gonna say it here, but I think this Felix is a little bit strong with the amount of gold that he has in his bank right now. But we will have to wait and see because the dragon is going to be spawning in 15 seconds.
Oh my
Jin Jiao.
God! That's 2 auto attacks. Holy cow! Jin Jiao doesn't get to play the game anymore. Then Ferna Moonlight Vigil not gonna hit. So close.
Alright, Mazel. You know how everyone's been complaining about Zeri and Yuumi being an extremely broken duo when you did give this pair over? And when you break this duo
Oh,
apart,
did we lose
I
you?
still think Yuumi is the one
Uh-oh.
that's
I think we
coming
lost
out
Kit.
on top.
As soon as she was talking about Yuumi, something happened to Kitty. Is this a coincidence?
Hello?
Well, until then, we'll see Kitty struggling against the Yuumi. And now we got to look at what the state of the game looks like. Shadow, try to find as much as he can in the enemy jungle of Meteor. But LPC definitely caught out here. I don't think you make it out of this one. And you're going to have to try to find that wall. There you go with the flash cube. Good stuff. Good stuff. LPC. With a quick hands, quick out of there. But now Photic has found Jin Jiao, who will have to burn that wild growth immediately. Oh,
Mazel,
I
can you hear me?
heard Kitty. Did you win the battle against Yuumi?
Yeah, I think.
Let's
I don't know what
go.
happened with the comms, but I'm back. I don't think I ever disappeared.
As soon as you said Yuumi, you
Really?
disappeared from my ear, and I figured Yuumi tackled you because you were about to say something about her, and then you guys just started fighting. But I'm glad that you won. Did you have your Yuumi statement?
I won the against the demons. But yeah, my final Yuumi statement was I still think out of these 2 duos, because Yuumi is such a strong champion, once you get that Ardent Sensor online, you can go fine with an Aphelios. And Zeri at the very end, you can't really play with spacing correctly when the Aphelios is shooting you from 2 screens away.
It's a little difficult to get a bearing on, and especially hard to kind of evaluate the threat level of that distance. We'll see actually Shadow just continuously farming away Meteor's jungle. Doesn't have that big of a lead. Meteor still will be a force to be reckoned with here in a lot of these fights.
Yeah, and as we approach the next 1 minute and 40 seconds, we have absolute control over going towards NIP, and I don't know how Meteor is going to get his items like the Collect and the Yomas, which he's gonna go for in this game too, because he has no camps to farm, and that's just denying a very huge win con for LGD. You have Haichao going Merctries in the Proto Belt, so he is just playing a utility Annie for this Graves to pop off in these team fights, but if the Graves doesn't have a source, then where does he get his gold? Oh my god!
It's unfair! It's just unfair! Photic gets to play with so much confidence, and he just gets to one-tap people. He doesn't even have 2 items yet. He literally doesn't even have his strong point, and he's already almost killing people with 1 combo of the Aphelios.
I'm
So
waiting
dirty.
for the day Mr. Director shows us the gold differential between these 2 ADCs. I'm pretty sure
One of these days.
Photic's gonna back and get his second item online, which is going to be the Gale. Oh wait, where did everything go?
It's gone.
Okay, it's gone.
When it comes
We'll never
back,
find out
he'll
if
have his
Photic
second
got
item.
his second item. Yeah.
Jin Zhao actually
Damn, what's
completed
wrong
the
with
Ardent
production? I'm
Sensor, I
getting
saw that.
trolled today. Jesus Christ.
Now we see the look from Haichao towards looking at this mid lane actually. Photic, that was interesting. I think we time skipped there. I feel like he was walking up the mid, and you know, we made it towards Photic, who did have to burn the cleanse. We also had the couple summoner spells burned by Zhuo, so NIP a bit on the back foot.
Yeah, and they are just working towards this mid lane tower, opening up the entire tier 1 towers, and Rift Herald is now up and available. I don't know how LGD is going to be able to find a pick onto this. Haichao needs to get a pick, but we already see him... I don't know, because it's very hard to walk out when you don't have a clear front line, especially Fearness consistently being pressured to respond in that bottom side, where Invincible does have that extra bit of push when it comes to the isolated matchup. Haichao does have the flash available, and the Ardent Sensor is also online for
they're
Jin
gonna
Jiao.
contest it. All right, LGD teleporting Fearness up. Angel is around the corner, just looking for a big pop blossom, but already caught out. Shadow, that can't happen there. As Haichao again, he can't hit the ultis, he can't hit the stuns, but the Moonlight Vigil from Photic is huge, and Photic is the one you gotta watch out for, as Photic and the rest of NIP have come to play. And just like that, you snap and 4 members are gone from LGD.
And this is the trade. 4 members and a Rift Herald for 1 Shadow. And that was honestly a really good polymorph coming out of LGD, but it wasn't enough because your main focus is the Aphelios Invincible having a really nice mega Gnar ultimate onto 3 people was nuts. But yeah,
I will say the Mega Gnar was huge, but the final chapter Infernum combo was actually so insane. The Yumi does so much damage. It's actually crazy.
You're telling me Yumi carried this fight
Watch
or
this.
Invincible?
Look at this combo! Like, what
I
is
think
that?
that's Photic and the Yumi both doing
Yeah,
damage
it's the
there. As
duo.
everyone was lined up perfectly. But that's the Wind Dragon Soul Point going over towards the side of NIP now. And at 18 minutes, they can threaten the Dragon Soul at 25.
I never want to see an Infernum with the final chapter lineup ever again. Now, if you see that combo, walk away. Just walk away. It's not going to end well, especially if the ADC's name is Photic. But I think NIP definitely set up for success through a lot of the changes in draft we witnessed. But not only that, it's about a lot of the execution we've seen change for them from game 1 to game 2. Even with the aggression still there from Shadow, it's a lot more reservation around the style of play they're working through. And it's through Photic himself. They finally said, let's just play through Photic. Invincible in a 1v1 against Fearness,
nice
though.
dodge.
Oh, Photic! He tried to get it with the Gale Force.
Very close, but not enough damage. LGD, their 4th member, lives on 1 HP, but yeah, the biggest difference in this game too is that I think it's surprising to see NIP win both bottom and top lane in such dominating fashion, because we already saw that, yes, Photic was one of their big damage sources going into that game 1 on the Xayah, but this game you also have someone else to worry about, which is Invincible on this Gnar, who has been in an isolated matchup until that Rift Herald fight. But playing this front to back composition now, NIP is a lot more comfortable with how they're executing this team comp. But on the other hand, I mean, Haichao and this Annie has been extremely quiet so far, and the only flash timbers that we've seen was one onto a Nico clone. But NIP, they're gonna fasten up the tempo.
Yeah, and the Baron being started means that LGD just need to be a little careful walking in here. It looks like they want to try to contest him, but Photic is already stacking up all the chakrams. The Baron does get reset, and LGD might have another crack at this one. NIP maybe want to back off. Okay, so it looks like LGD is just going to give this one unless they want to try to wait for the TP of Fearness.
The problem is, how do you engage as LGD? Because you don't have the flash timbers available onto Haichao. I've seen this position for Haichao before.
Oh, Fearness going in. Still pretty tanky. See what Haichao can do. He needs to get that stun available for him. And after all that fighting, NIP actually back away for this one.
Does force out the TP from Fearness though, so NIP realistically can drag this K'Sante towards that bottom side once again. But Haichao backed, he does have the TP. But yeah, with this TP getting used by Fearness, I think Invincible can go back to the bottom lane, continue to pressure, but this time around, he has the TP available as NIP continues to dance around with the idea of Baron, as this Nico will always secure mid lane priority when it comes to these waves.
And now we're looking at second items, looking for third for Photic, at least very soon. All that gold that he had gotten before, but he's also up like 60 CS, by the way. That third item spike is just going to be so big. We do finally get the Runaan's completed for LPC. We got the Infinity, the Triforce at least, and that Runaan's. But we got the Collector actually for Meteor. So the double marksman composition is chugging along here, Kitty. But is it going to be enough?
The worst thing to say is, I don't know, because Meteor, he's on 170 CS. Not the most, or not the biggest gold advantage that you would ideally want in the pockets of a Graves, and he's already been set so far behind from how level 1 started. We need to remind the entire audience that NIP is in such a advantageous position is because Shadow decided to get the Raptor camp and ruin Meteor's entire early game tempo and get gold into Photic's hands. But I think if Haichao is able to get a really sneaky flank angle on this Annie, where it catches Photic off guard, and LGD follows up with the burst that they have in Meteor, that can be an angle for them to approach. But you already see Invincible pressuring this bottom side, and Fearness can't match this because he doesn't have that TP.
So far, it's about 2,500 gold differential for Photic over LPC. Pretty nice at 23 minutes in, and 50 seconds till Dragon Soul for NIP. You're wondering if LGD are just going to try to pull the whole let the Elder Dragon come and we flip over it style come through.
Yep, and Haichao has to just match the silent pressure that Invincible has been providing, but the game has gone so long. We've reached the 24-25 minute mark, and the Dragon Soul is going to be spawning for the side of NIP. I don't think LGD, they can realistically trade for the Baron, Meteor. But NIP already spots this.
You just gotta get a little bit of vision here for LGD. Takes a huge, that was just the, oh man. I'm starting to understand why you're such a Yuumi hater sometimes. But a little bit of poke action coming through for NIP, but LGD just trying to maintain as much control around this pit as possible. I don't think they necessarily want to start this. That's a recipe for disaster with Photic waiting in the wings.
I think NIP, they can send Photic to solo the Dragon, which is going to get started by Invincible here. He's just going to solo himself, and LGD, they're running out of options. They could have just forced a 5v5 there, because I think they're slowly getting played around by NIP's vision control. It's in the very end, Meteor on this Graves, when you're not ahead in terms of items, it just doesn't offer as much threat compared to something like the Xin Zhao. But Invincible is going to secure this Dragon Soul, and NIP, they're being extra greedy today.
All right, Haichao, this is your moment. You've gotten the flank. They don't know you're there. This is the time. Your time is now. Haichao looking for the flank, but he got to get around the corner. Invincible's getting a little bit low. Haichao, he hits it, but he's all alone. There's nothing left. You can hit the ultimate, but you need your team. A triple kill for Photic, and LGD are falling apart at the seams. That's every single objective going over to NIP in one fell swoop, and that should just be the game. We got a little 1v1 going here, but Fearness dies to Invincible in the solo, and LGD die to NIP in game 2.
Shadow also finishes the Baron, so that's a man determined to get the final objective. But NIP now storming in onto the base as Photic this game has been an absolute menace to deal with ever since the early game. And they're going to finish this off to a 1-1 series.
They are indeed. We will go the distance here in our first series of the night. Kicking off week number 2, wouldn't have it any other way. But my goodness, NIP finally woke up and felt like with that composition, that's what felt good here for the Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, and it's all thanks to Shadow upsetting the early game tempo against this Graves. They predicted that Meteor was going to default into something like this, and he went for the Raptor camp, gets that level 2 spike, and starts threatening the entire bot side jungle, where also having this Nico up against Annie in the laning phase, this Nico in the hands of I believe this Nico in the hands of NIP, they were able to just consistently get these tower plates into the hands of Photic, and of course that really iconic bot lane swap where they went to top lane and got another 2 plates, then went to bottom lane and collected all 5 plates. Well, LGD just got simply out macroed.
I'm just gonna say right now, right here, Haichao, no more Annie. Let's just walk away from that pick. Let's see what happens on something else. Get a different shade of the mid lane because Haichao has just not looked good on the Annie 2 games in a row. He's had multiple opportunities. The ulti looked good, but the team wasn't there. And I think that if you adapt this mid lane for LGD, things look a lot better. Meteor has a little bit more confidence from this mid jungle duo against Shadow, who will continuously keep playing aggressive. That's where LGD can find a little bit of that cohesion and a little bit of that strength in game 3.
Yeah, and when you are willing to make the trade-off for Nico and taking away the Zeri, you can't really go around the game not playing around this Zeri. And we saw that because Meteor, he was willing to go the kind of more selfish route and lock in something like the Graves. Well, everyone or every man for themselves pretty much in this game too. Sometimes it works wonders for them, as Meteor does find a miracle kind of spike in terms of gold. But this game, it was all about Photic and how he was able to get so many tower plates and working alongside Dro in those team fights, where I believe this Yuumi actually ended up out damaging both Shadow and Angel in game 2.
I'm telling you, it was ridiculous how much damage Zhuo was doing, but it for me was just the level of sheer confidence that Photic was playing with Zhuo under him, right? It was incredible. He was literally stepping up to 2v3s in actuality, but willing to play that aggressive nature, knowing that if somebody comes and tries to take a fight, you're going to take 1, 2, maybe all of them with you. And it's that set of tempo that you need to have if you're going to find an advantage like this and try to snowball it. With the aggression that NIP were playing for, that's what they were looking for from the get-go.
And you can really tell that LGD is a team that plays with momentum, because from the previous game 1, Fearness, he got a solo kill onto Invincible on the Gragas, and then he roamed towards mid lane. He was very vocal and proactive during that first one. But in game 2, I mean, we saw Haichao being proactive on the Annie, flashing forward and Tiberizing, but he got baited by the Nico clone, which is the first time I've ever seen a Nico clone bait such huge abilities out of LGD. And then from there, he was completely silent. So I think, like you said, let go of this Annie, make him play something that is going to be a little bit more stable, where not a lot of pressure is on him, and default back to where Meteor is the one playing the self-engage and play standard, and hopefully we see a brand new LGD going to game 3.
I don't mind the Graves. I really don't. I think that especially the way that Meteor plays the Graves, it's kind of needed to go into Shadow, but you got to find supportive pieces around it. We're going to take a little break while we get to our culmination of our first game or our first series of the night. We'll see you there.